If you rely on just inspiration to strike to fuel your creativity and your creative work, you're going to be waiting a long time to finish a song, a book, a sculpture, a painting, whatever. What's up, guys? My name's Noah. I make music as Haterade, and you are watching The Productive Producer. So today we're not going to be doing anything specific inside of Ableton or your DAW. We're going to be talking about something that all creative people have to deal with. Chances are, if you clicked on this video, you've already experienced what we're talking about today. We're talking about creative block. It doesn't matter what type of creative work you do. If you do creative work, these solutions will help you. So I've been making music since I was about 13 years old, and I can remember back in those times when I just started, I had so much energy about making music. I didn't have this creative block because I didn't have any sort of expectations for what I was going to create. I was just creating. I would feel energized when I finished something. I would feel proud. I want to show my friends. I felt psyched about it. And now now that I've been doing this for such a long time, now I sort of impose these expectations on myself, and that's at the root of all creative block, is having expectations for what you're creating should be. Your expectations of the last time you were in the studio. Maybe last time you were in the studio, you made a really great song, or you painted a really great painting, and then you want to replicate that going into the next session. Maybe it's one of your peers or someone you look up to. You look at their work and compare it to your work and say, oh, well, my work doesn't feel like it's as good as their work. Comparisons can be helpful, but only if they're done with perspective. Otherwise, comparisons are like rat poison for creativity. So you get into the studio, you start to make something, you think, this sucks. Trashy idea, you start a new one, you work on it some, you think, this sucks, trash, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. This is a place that a lot of people have been in, including myself. So what do? How do we get past this and get back to being happy with what we're making again? The best way to get past creative block is finishing what you're doing. Even if it sucks, even if you're not happy with it, even if it will never see the light of day, you need to finish it. The reason why creative professionals rarely seem to have creative block, you might be thinking of some pro that you look up to and you admire their work and you feel like, oh, they put out so much music, or they write so much and it's all good stuff. They may experience the same amount of creative block as you. They just push through it. It's not because they have this untouchable talent that you don't have. It's because they have the willpower to push through and to finish it. So you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, cool. I'll just finish the entire book. I'll finish the entire sculpture. I'll finish the entire album, entire song in one day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you have to finish the entire work in one day, but you need to finish what you started going through. You can't scrap it and start over and over and over again. That's not going to get you to the next level. You need to finish. The idea is to set a goal for yourself when you sit down and then see it through. For example, you have an unfinished track in front of you and you're wondering, what do I do next? Let's say the chorus is already finished, or the bridge is already finished, or in EDM terms, the drop is already finished. Set that intention to be like, all right, for this session, I'm going to make the intro, and I'm going to make it no matter what. I'm going to finish it. I have 4 hours. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to finish this intro. A good thing to keep in mind is Parkinson's law. Work expands as to fill the time allotted for its completion. This means if you give yourself a task and a specific amount of time to do it, you will take up that time to finish that task. Now, sometimes it might happen a lot faster than the amount of time. Say that you set out 4 hours to make an intro for your song, but you did it in 1 hour. Great. Now you can move on to the next thing. Chances are, if you finished it that fast, you're going to have creative momentum and you're going to want to jump into the next thing. And then you don't have creative block at all. By setting a modest objective with a reasonable time frame, you enable yourself to complete the project. Finishing a creative task is hard. It's not easy. Think of how many artists you know that have tons of unfinished work and hardly any finished work. It's a common thing. Is it because those artists suck? No. It's because they lack the discipline and the drive to push through the hard times, those difficult, that resistance to get to the finished product. I can already hear a lot of you guys saying, discipline takes the fun out of creativity. It takes the fun out of making music. If I force my music, it's not gonna feel authentic, man. My guess is if you're watching this, you don't feel really inspired right now. And that's okay, because inspiration doesn't come all the time. If inspiration came all the time, making art would be easy. You need to work on your craft as to meet the inspiration. The more you work on your craft and the more consistently you work on your craft, the more inspired you'll be every day. There's a book called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and it has been one of the most influential books on my life as a creative, because it teaches that there's a difference between a professional and an amateur. And an amateur only works when he feels like it, and a professional works every day. Now, I'm not saying that you should work on music every day. It's important to have rest and recharge and draw inspiration from other places. I'm not saying you have to work all the time. But if you want this to be something more than just a hobby for you, you need to treat it as a profession. And a professional shows up to work every day, pushes through, finishes his work, even if it's crap, even if it's not very good, even if he's not happy with it, even if it's not as good as so-and-so's work, he finishes, and then he moves on to the next piece. Because you cannot get a record deal with an unfinished piece of music. Nobody's going to give you that book deal based off of a couple of pages. You need to finish your ideas. You need to sit down, finish your work, plow through, and then move on to the next one. Each time you run into those moments of resistance and struggle and that feeling of like this isn't good enough and those unmet expectations, the more you push through those, over time, you'll find those periods of resistance become less and less, because you're not interested in creating the most magnificent masterpiece of all time. You're interested in finishing, and finished work is the absolute best thing for creatives. The more finished work you have, the better you'll be at what you do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you think I was wrong, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm learning too. I'm still learning all of this myself. Now I'm going to speak only to the music producers now. If you're interested in some samples, project files, and some studio one-on-one time with me as your music production coach, go down to the Patreon. It's linked in the description there, and I'll be able to help you out. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.